always connect these stories that lawlessness begets lawlessness. And
Yeah.
I just was saying, how long did we get through the show yesterday before going, oh, yeah, Trump wanted Pence hanged?
Yeah.
We're just like, oh, my God. But you tweeted, new reporting on Trump's statement as the Capitol attack raged on. Maybe Mike Pence should be hanged, as related by the New York Times, further supports the conclusion Trump committed the crime of treason. Explain that to us, because this is direct reporting that Mark Meadows, Mark Meadows, I believe, assistant or whoever it was, right, worked for him, gave to the January 6th committee, that he Meadows told colleagues Trump had said something to the effect of maybe Pence should be hung. Your thoughts, Glenn? I'm out.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Your thoughts.
This is almost just unfathomable. And it was an aide to Mark Meadows, Cassidy Hutchinson, and another individual unnamed who gave this to the J6 committee. Mark Meadows said he emerged from a meeting with Donald Trump during the insurrection. And Donald Trump said two things, and I don't think we've really fully absorbed what the first thing means, but it's really important. The first thing was Trump was angry, upset that Pence was being whisked to safety during the attack on the Capitol. And then the second thing he said is maybe Mike Pence should be hanged. I'm sorry. We are now in heartland treason territory, given the elements of the crime of treason. But let's go back to the first thing, Steph. We know that part of the scheme, the corrupt criminal scheme by Trump and John Eastman and the rest of these idiots, was to delay the certification as long as possible with a hope that maybe they could end up throwing this question to the state legislators. That didn't work. But now think about Donald Trump's statement that he was angry that Mike Pence was being whisked to safety. Well, guess what? If Mike Pence is being whisked to safety, that would delay the certification. You would think that would forward the criminal scheme that Trump and company were trying to push. But instead, Donald Trump was angry that Mike Pence was less likely to be caught by the angry mob that Donald Trump set on the Capitol. That's really damning of what Donald Trump really wanted to see happen.
Well, I see your optimism here. In one tweet, you said insurrection hearings set to open June 9th. There are reasons for optimism that Donald Trump will be indicted for his crimes. Oh, please, God.
No.
Let this be true, Glenn.
He can't not be. He can't not be. And I have done a deep dive piece that will go live today or tomorrow on MSNBC Daily, talking about the interplay between the J6 committee and the Department of Justice, and how it looks like the Department of Justice is taking an investigative back seat to the J6 committee. And my question is, in the piece, is there a method to this investigative madness, or what looks like investigative madness? And there is. And I do a really deep dive on why that is.
Can you give us a little preview? I mean, I watch you, and we link to it.
The J6 committee, the investigative committee, it's not a bunch of typical congressional staffers, no disrespect. It is a team of incredibly adept, experienced former federal prosecutors in violent crime and gang activity and in public corruption. They are essentially, Steph, doing the investigation that the Department of Justice would otherwise be doing.
Right.
And I take great comfort, headed up by a colleague and friend of mine named Tim Heafy, great RICO prosecutor from the courts of Washington, D.C. that I work with. They are doing an outstanding job putting together an investigation that I believe they will hand off to the Department of Justice. And a little bit of a false premise, I don't think DOJ is entirely taking an investigative backseat. I think they're in the grand jury doing things that we have no idea they're doing, that will come to fruition and will become public in the not too distant future.
Okay, let's run down some other stuff going on quickly, because I never can get you long enough. Bill Barr set to testify. You said he can clearly incriminate Trump, but will he be a credible witness? What your take?
Yeah, he won't be a credible witness if he comes in off the street and says, let me tell you about all of Donald Trump's misdeeds. If I'm a defense attorney, I'm going to say, no, Bill. I want to talk about your misdeeds, the crimes you committed that you have not been held accountable for. And you see those prosecutors sitting over there? You're going to say anything that they want you to say to get Donald Trump, because they've given you a pass on your own crimes. That's why the only way Bill Barr will be a credible witness if he, as we say, comes from the back of the courtroom, the cells that are behind every courtroom, as a cooperating witness who's taken responsibility for his own crimes. Then I'm ready to hear him about Donald Trump.
Let's talk about the other lawyers. You said DOJ federal grand jury squeezing Trump's lackey lawyers, Giuliani, Eastman, Jenna Ellis, a guy named Kenneth Chesborough. You also tweeted treasonous lawyer John Eastman tries to hide 2 Trump handwritten insurrection notes from J6 committee. Spoiler alert, he will fail. Are these enablers going to all be held accountable? All of them?
Yeah, based on the publicly available evidence, which is probably about, I would say, maybe a tenth or a quarter of the actual evidence that J6 and DOJ will ultimately have about their misdeeds. I would bet $1. That's my betting limit. I'm not a high roller. That all of those people you just named will be defendants in an indictment that charges a conspiracy to defraud or commit offenses against the United States. It's coming. It's coming.
So on the bad news front, you tweeted Giuliani testifies, friends of Stone are flipping, Ginny Thomas insurrects, Loudermilk gets quiet. But on the Ginny Thomas, you probably saw this reporting. The House Select Committee is unlikely to subpoena Ginny Thomas or even request she appear for a voluntary interview, is the reporting this morning. Lawmakers on the House panel have expressed concerns about allowing the focus on Thomas to divert attention from Trump. A minority of lawmakers on the panel disagree, fear the decision to not call in or subpoena Thomas could undermine the committee's credibility. I agree with those members. What do you think?
Yeah, you know what? Shoring up our failing institutions of government and holding people accountable for their crimes and their ethical misdeeds, it's not an either or proposition, Steph. I don't want to hear somebody tell me we can't go after Ginny Thomas and try to attack her husband Clarence Thomas's deeply unethical conduct, because that will take the focus away from Donald Trump. Well, Steph, if I have a murder committed up the street and I have a murder committed down the street, I don't say, you know what, I'm only going to look at one of those murders because I don't want to distract attention by trying to hold both killers accountable.
Or like
That's
it's rude.
not the way any of this works.
Like it's like wearing white after Labor Day. Oh, it's a Supreme Court justice's wife. That's just rude. I mean, it's... Jim Jordan demands material on him before complying with a subpoena. Is this a thing that is done, Prosecutor Glenn Kirschner? He says he'll consider complying if they share all the material that put him under scrutiny.
No, it's not done generally, and we don't negotiate with constitutional terrorists like Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan, mark my words, Steph, he is engaged in a cover-up of the crimes of Donald Trump. And if there's one thing we learned from Watergate, if the crime don't get you, the cover-up will. So Jim Jordan has got to be held accountable for what he's doing.
So speaking of lawyers, real quick, sorry, I've got a million in your stack. Trump lawyers are the focus of inquiry into alternate electors scheme. Again, I keep saying, stop calling them alternate. They're fraudulent.
Fraudulent.
They're against
criminal.
the will of
How
the
about
people.
criminal electors?
Right. But it looks like that's what they're focusing on, is that particular scheme.
Yeah,
Correct.
They're focusing on that now. And, you know, that's kind of a gimme when it comes to a crime being committed, because they signed certificates swearing, certifying that they were the duly appointed electors because Donald Trump won the state. That was a lie. They mailed those things to the National Archives and to Congress, committing any number of crimes. So, again, these are people that have to be held accountable.
Okay. Well, I have to ask on your former prosecutor stack. White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows burned papers in his office after a meeting with who is it? Scott Perry, the Republican from Pennsylvania, they were working to challenge the 2020 election. He again, Cassidy Hutchinson said Meadows incinerated documents after a meeting in his office, as you do when you're completely innocent, I would assume, right?
Yes, because of course he did, right? We are on day, 160 something of the Mark Meadows indictment watch. I have to believe that the reason we haven't seen an indictment is because all of this needs to be investigated, needs to be charged, and he needs to be made to account for all of it, not just his contempt of Congress.
Let's end on good news. 4-judge panel ruled against Trump in his attempt to get out of testifying under oath in a civil lawsuit filed by the New York State Attorney General. They wrote the existence of a criminal investigation does not preclude civil discovery of related facts at which a party may exercise the privilege against self-incrimination. So, this is the bank fraud, wire fraud, tax fraud, correct?
Yes, and you know, I would love to be a fly on the wall of that deposition room when Tish James' team starts questioning Donald Trump, I think he's going to struggle with the truth.
Yeah, that's a shocking allegation. Real quick, Kellyanne Conway's book depicts Donald Trump as a feminist, and you said talk about your alternative facts. And we learned that Trump offered her a blanket pardon. Does anyone still doubt his kids have pocket pardons? We've had a lot of talk about this. You said let's talk about whether Rudy, Don Jr., Ivanka, and others have pocket pardons, and whether a pardon might be why Rudy was comfortable testifying for 9 hours. What have you changed your take on that or no?
Oh, Steph, when I saw how casually Donald Trump offered Kellyanne Conway a blanket pardon, if her account is to be believed, and she said she politely declined, okay, let's take her at her word. Do you think for a minute he didn't give pardons to his kids and to himself? You know what? If you believe that, I'm sure Trump would sell you any number of New York City bridges, and he'd probably throw in a couple of tunnels.
Oh, boy. Okay. Well, justice may be delayed on the 405. Okay. Glenn, love you guys. It's till next Friday is like the longest period of time in my entire life, just so you know.
Love you, Steph. Have a great week. See you guys.
All right. See ya.
Thanks, Glenn.
If you missed that, you can watch it on,
Political Voices Network on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe.
You can share it on your social media to annoy all of your conservative friends.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
51, just because he's handsome.